that's what I want at lunchtime every day. Every single day. Thank you all so much. That was a fantastic trio from the Nashville Jazz Workshop, and I need to introduce them. Now, we'll have to get Marcus in a minute. He ran off stage. So this is Laurie Meacham playing the piano, and Roger Spencer playing the bass. And that was Marcus Finney on the drums. So we were so lucky to have him. And also I want to introduce to you all Liz Johnson. She's going to be joining them later. Yes, I know. So we are here today to talk about the Nashville Jazz Workshop, because Laurie and Roger are not only musicians, they are also founders of a really incredible institution here in town. And I'm going to ask Laurie to sort of tell you what the Nashville Jazz Workshop is. We did have one person call and say, do I need to bring an instrument to the lunchbox? So, Laurie, what is the Nashville Jazz Workshop?
Well, we are the community center for jazz. We provide classes, we have special performances and special events into the community. So no matter what age you are, and whether or not you play an instrument or not, you can come to the Jazz Workshop, because everyone is welcome. And we have from amateurs to listeners to professionals that come and take classes at the Jazz Workshop. So it's a home for everyone.
Well, so, that sounds good to all of us. Let's go to some practical things. Where is it? Where are you all located?
We are located in what we call East Germantown, and what does that mean? We're right on the Cumberland River in an old complex called the Newhoff Complex, which used to be a meatpacking facility back in the early 1920s. We were the first to be there. Actors Bridge, if many of you know who Actors Bridge are, also
there's another
several arts groups.
There,
John Prine has a studio there, TACA, Tennessee Arts. And so we've got many people that have made Newhoff their home.
It's very cool. It's a reclaimed thing, and you can, when I took my mother there for her first time to the Nashville Jazz Workshop, she popped her eyes and went, "Really?" And I said, "Yes." And as we kept driving, she went, "Yes, I see." It's a wonderful place over on the river. And you can look up on the website to get there, get directions. It's great. So you've got classes. Is it a very large place? I mean, is it?
We have about 4,000 square feet.
Great.
And that we can accommodate 3 classrooms, and we have a performance venue called the Jazz Cave that seats about 72.
Awesome. So if we come to the Jazz Cave, can we buy drinks there? Is it sort of like a regular jazz bar, or?
No.
No.
Because we are an education facility, we cannot sell alcohol, but you can bring it, and you're welcome to bring it. A lot of people bring a nice bottle of wine or some beer, but we do serve coffee and soft drinks.
That's awesome. And you can bring, and I've been there, so I am asking these questions so Laurie can tell you, and not just me. But when you come to the Jazz Cave, you need to make reservations, yes?
Yes.
And you're going to see, but there's a concept that you all have not really introduced, but you really are strengthening here in Nashville, called a listening room. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Because I happen to be married to Rodgers, so is that a good thing? Okay.
That's why I'm not saying
There's
much.
all kinds of connections.
Today it's okay. All right. Anyway, this is what I go through every day. When we first figured out that we really wanted to make that particular area a performance venue, we thought to ourselves, what do we really want? We want a good piano, we want a good drum set, we want everything to be there so that the musicians that come and play there, they could just walk in the door, sit down and play. And we wanted a room that people would pay attention. And that's what has happened. We tell people to keep talking to a minimum because we're recording not only audio but video. And people pay attention, and they love it. And
It does. It gives it a whole. Oh, sorry, Roger.
The space was originally designed as a performance space for the students, because part of the concept is at the end of every 6-week session, the ensembles need to perform for the public. It's really important to have the interaction with the crowd and actually put people under the pressure of having to, do things in a performance situation. Well, the great jazz musicians that come to the workshop and teach with us there saw this performance space and said, why are we not playing here? Because we had designed it after some of our favorite jazz clubs in the country that we've been in and performed in. So that's how we evolved into being a performance space as well.
And it gives a completely different ambiance when you know you are there to really experience the music. And it's unlike anything that I've experienced myself. But since you brought up the classes, Roger, can you kind of give us sort of what are they classes ongoing, or so it's an every 6 weeks thing? Yes.
Yeah, what we do is 7 6-week sessions a year, and we have a core of classes, including vocal techniques and vocal repertoire, instrumental improvisation classes, and some ensembles that are always on the session every 6 weeks. And then we have the flexibility with some of the schedule to add things as as needed basis. We take recommendations from students. Well, when are we going to do an ensemble of this kind of music? Well, how about next 6 weeks? We'll do it. Maybe an improvisation class based on, well, like for instance, we have Joe Gross, great trumpet player in town, who wanted to do something fairly advanced on how to use certain modes in improvisation. So we said, let's put it up. So we have that flexibility as well.
Well, and practically, so if it's a 6-week, how often do you meet? Once a week, yes?
Yeah, each class is once a week for 2 hours. We have classes at 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday.
But you also have a listening class, yes? Can you tell? I mean, listening is a big part of this because we do let things pass us by, I think, in our modern world so much because we have so much input. So the chance to sit down and really pay attention is rare, and I think you all give that to us.
And like Laurie said, you don't have to be able to sing or play an instrument to do a lot of our classes, which are listening and history-based. For instance, I'll do a 6-week class on just the history of big bands and go all the way back to Louis Armstrong and Keegan Oliver and evolve on up through contemporary bands like Gordon Goodwin and Maria Schneider. And in 6 weeks give you a sense of the evolution of the larger ensembles. We'll do a 6 weeks on a specific artist like Miles Davis' career or John Coltrane's career.
Well, and have you had students really say that it's changed how they listen to music?
Oh, definitely. The last one I did was not artist or repertoire specific, but just a class on how to listen to jazz. So I started talking to them about the forms of the songs and the structure within which artists are performing. And to a lot of people that don't understand that, a jazz performance sounds like one continuous song. It starts here and ends here, and a bunch of stuff happens in between. But when I talked about the basic form of the song being performed and how, the soloists use that structure, chorus after chorus, lights are going on and people got more out of their listening experience.
Yeah, it's kind of like a scaffold, so you give them something to look for.
Right.
That's really extraordinary. And it's we're going to talk a little bit more about this education approach, but I want to let Liz pop in here too, because Liz was actually one of the very first students at the Nashville Jazz Workshop, and she has gone on to have an amazing career and also be an instructor at Blair. So can you tell us about your first class? Were you surprised with how it went?
Yeah, my first class was in 1998, the spring or summer of 1998, and they were advertising vocal just voice classes and or jazz singing classes, and I'd always wanted to do it, and I never really had a chance to do it. So I walked in there and paid my deposit, and Laurie's like, "Okay, we'll sign you up." And I think BG Adair was one of the first instructors that I had in that class, and they gave us a cassette tape with 2 songs, one song on each side, and a lead sheet.
We can bring those back if you want to.
Yeah, that would be very convenient for most people.
Yes.
But, they just started teaching us how to sing songs and what the form and what the structure was. And then I remember Laurie saying, "You need to come back with this chart in your key." And I was like, I have no idea what that means. And then, just taking classes. And I was a saxophone player first before I started singing with them. But I didn't want them to know at first because I just wanted to explore singing. And then brought the saxophone in. And then, obviously these guys are my musical parents because I didn't have a musical family at all, and so I learned pretty much everything I know from these guys. And I did play saxophone in college, but what I discovered here in Nashville is that these people know how to swing, and they know how to make the music feel good, and I'm sorry, that's it for me. If it doesn't feel good, why would you bother, right?
As you saw at the very beginning,
Right.
and I neglected to say that was Count Basie's Shiny Stockings that we got to hear, and we determined we wanted art right at the very, very beginning. I have another just quick question about, so can you explain just kind of describe the fact that you're actually getting to play with musicians? It's not, because some vocal classes are different, yes, where you're just working with your instructor, but for this, you have a different.
Well, at the Jazz Workshop, all the vocal classes, the singers get to work with the band almost every single week. And that's invaluable experience because you can sing in your living room all you want, but it's not until you actually get on the stage with other musicians that you really learn how to be part of your craft or to do your craft. So you're getting that experience, and like Roger said, at the end of every 6 weeks, you have a performance. So you're up there performing, learning how to handle yourself on stage and all that. So there's nothing else like it that I've ever seen.
And, I've got another question, but actually what I really want to do is watch that in action. So we've got another tune coming up as these guys I'm making them get up and get down and get up and get down. They're going to go play for a little bit, and we're going to bring Marcus back out. And Liz is going to sing for us and kind of demonstrate some of the stuff that she has learned. They're going to be giving us Bewitched by Rodgers and Hart.
A simpering, whimpering child again, bewitched, bothered and bewildered am I. I couldn't sleep, and I wouldn't sleep, when love came and told me I shouldn't sleep. Bewitched, bothered and bewildered am I lost my heart, but what of it? He is cold, that I do agree. He can laugh, but I love it, although the laugh's away. bothered and bewildered am I. And bewildered am I. Am I? Am I?
She's right. They do swing, don't they? Yeah. I wanted to follow up just sort of when Liz is talking about writing charts. For folks who are not musicians or singers, wait, are there any? It's Nashville? Surely everybody in here plays an instrument, right? For folks who are not musicians, when you write a chart, you're not looking at sheet music in the same way in jazz. And Laurie, you help me out if I'm explaining this wrong. Musicians are looking not just at all the notes on there, they're looking at what chord structure they have to play in. And they're doing all kinds of playing within that. And so having the singers understand what their chart is and just what the chords are going to and making sure it's in their key is part of a discipline that you would need in a professional setting, yes? So, hey, oh, all right. I got the kudos. So I want to explore a little bit more about these classes because you're giving a type of literature class that is really pretty valuable. And I've heard Liz say some things, but why don't you describe those for me a little bit, Laurie?
Well, we have a complete list of American popular songbooks, so we teach from the beginning. George Gershwin, we do 12 weeks. Rodgers and Hart, Duke Ellington, Harold Arlen, Jerome Kern, Irving Berlin, Harry Warren, Jimmy Van Heusen, everyone you can possibly think of that's in that American popular songbook. And we teach the singer stylistically what to do with the songs. We work with the band. Sometimes I teach duo because I'm trying to teach the band as well as teaching the singers. But they get the chance to actually perform at the end of the 12-week session. And that's such a cool thing to be able to do, that they can do 2 or 3 songs in that songbook. And they take that with them. They put that in their book, their own book, and they can use that out on the gigs. Some of the literature classes get to be more advanced. For example, we teach an Antonio Carlos Jobim class, and we actually teach that in Portuguese. And that's so wonderful. And it's hard. It's really, really hard.
Yes, I took one of the French classes. It is hard. But there will be no Portuguese and French today. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. But Liz, you were telling me something. We were having a conversation earlier, and you said that as a singer, it helped you studying one set of composers really intensely. How does that help?
Well, that model of teaching kind of shows you how composers are stylistically the same, and it really gets you into one subject. So coming from a college background where there's just all these random songs hanging out there to coming to a class where we're studying one composer, it kind of gives you a framework and helps you to organize it in your brain, and it also helps you to learn a lot of material really quickly because it gives the classes a lot of structure. And I've learned hundreds of tunes over the years at the Jazz Workshop just by being in the classes and hearing other people sing them and then getting to sing them yourself. So the structure is invaluable.
And something I noticed, I don't know if you all felt this or not, but the way that Liz just did this tune, she would have learned it exactly as it was written and done. But then once she's really grounded in that tune, she's able to change the timing just a little bit. I really appreciate that pause after Bewitched because it made me listen to the tune in a different way. And you're grinning at me, Roger. Guess what? It's time for you to talk because I want you to I want you to tell us a little bit more about this particular model. Because I mean, is this something that's done across the country? This kind of sort of setup for the classes?
No. Oh, you want more? Okay. Liz touched on it. We all have college degrees, but the realization that came to all of us when we got out into the real world that there's a whole lot about jazz and the American popular songbook, things about repertoire, things about standard procedure, the way things are presented on the stage, the way things evolve on stage with jazz musicians, that we really hadn't developed a sense for. And the only way to do that is, we found out, is to get on a bandstand with professionals that know how to do that and learn from them. That's the way jazz used to be learned in the 30s, 40s, and into the 50s. And then in the 50s, jazz education started to become institutionalized. And at that point, things tend to homogenize a bit because you have to learn so much in a 4-year time span. So my preparation was great. I studied at Indiana University with David Baker and then went on to get a teaching degree. And as soon as I got out of college and moved to Boston for a year and then to Los Angeles, hit the bandstand and realized how much I didn't know about actually performing the music. I had the basics. I had tone, intonation, technique, the ability to play my instrument, but I didn't know the repertoire. So when we started evolving the Jazz Workshop, it started very small with 2 or 3 classes. And Laurie was teaching at Belmont University, and she had an ensemble that wanted further coaching on the side from what she was doing with them there. And summer came, and she had no office for the summer. So they started driving all the way out to our house, 35 miles outside town, to be coached as a rhythm section. And that's when we said, hey, there might be a broader need for this. So that's when we started in '98, put an ad on the back of the scene and got some space with some friends of ours who had a big percussion school and more space than they needed. And people just started showing up. So at this point, we realized there are a lot of people that want to learn about the music and want to play the music that don't want to dedicate to a degree program. They don't have time to dedicate to either getting a 4-year degree, or they don't necessarily want to be professional musicians. So there's this whole market of enthusiasts and hobbyists and young players who want experience on a bandstand with people who have spent years on the bandstand playing. And that's basically how what we call the journeyman apprentice model that we've developed evolved.
And, did you have something?
No,
you were going to say that.
No, I was just going to say that it's
they
so...
are married, aren't they? Thinking alike.
It's so wonderful to be on the stage, and I've said this a couple times that I've had some students that I've trained, and I'll look over, and they're finally getting it, like they're swinging so hard, and I'm just like, I don't want you to ever leave my class, ever. And I love that because that's such a great feeling. You know, Mama Bird is got them going, you know, but I don't know, I love that feeling of being up on the stage with the students and being able to help them. I know that we spoil them very much, but it's also excels the student in a quicker way than the difference would be in college situation where they're all the same age, they're all about the same level. But in our situation, it's different because we have, if Roger plays bass in one of his ensembles, he's excelling that rhythm section at a quicker pace than what it would usually be.
Let me tell you, if you're a singer in one of the classes and Laurie is playing for you, a myriad of mistakes are covered. Let me tell you, absolutely. Well, and I want to point out something else to you all before we hear the next tune, is part of this wonderful interchange and connection that happens, that I've seen happen at the Nashville Jazz Workshop with these students and with professionals, is that they move into the next level of, or an additional level, a little side level of creating. And actually there's a lot of amazing creative flowering that has happened. And what we're going to ask right now is Liz and Laurie actually collaborated and have written several songs, and we're going to get to hear one of their original tunes that is one of my personal favorites. So I'm going to get you guys up there to go ahead and play. And this was on one of Liz's albums, and so this came from these really amazing relationships between professionals and students, and how they then become peers and really a family. So this is by Laurie Meacham and Liz Johnson, and it is called That We Loved.
Without the dark, what is the light? Without the color black, there is no point to why. The season turns to fall, born of spring each year. After all, the winter's chill from summer's call. My darkest hour turned into bliss. You woke my heart with one young lover's kiss. The dawn that made us new set free a day that's known by few, because we love so honestly. You came to me as if in a dream, but I knew a price for loving was the pain. But I have no regrets, tears that I shed show that we love. Now looking back on all I've known, the pain I feel now that our time has flown is night without the moon, pulled tight like shutters on my room. And it hurts because I loved you so. that we love. It's quiet now. The house feels cool. The silence lives where laughter used to rule. I miss your hand to hold, but I'm contented just to know it hurts because I loved you so.
See why that's my favorite? I love that tune. One of the things that strikes me as we're talking is that the Nashville Jazz Workshop is really good at creating all kinds of opportunities, opportunities for a pretty wide range of people, age, professional, amateur, all different types of people. And so I wanted you maybe to talk just a little bit, Laurie, about your faculty and the types of faculty, because one of the figures that I got from someone is that the Nashville, from Larry Seaman, who is sort of someone who helps run this place. He's a mastermind. We love him. But this is going to blow your mind. So it started at 1998. They have contributed over $1 million to paying musicians in this time. Isn't that incredible? So, as well as being in this amazing community, and you're an economic engine, yes?
Yes.
So tell me, so you have some pretty amazing faculty that get to come and are paid to teach here.
Yes, we have the legendary Duffy Jackson, who was the drummer with the Count Basie Orchestra. He played with everyone. It's a long, long list of many people that he has played with. We have Chester Thompson, who is another drummer that was with Genesis, Phil Collins, Weather Report, Frank Zappa, Jeff Coffin, who was with Bela Fleck for a very long time, and now with Dave Matthews. Roger, jump in there with me.
Marcus,
that plays drums with us tonight. Wonderful drummer, who plays with Kirk Whalum.
What about that lady down at the end?
Liz Johnson. Yes, she teaches for us, and I'm so happy to have her, as well as Christina Watson and Annie Selick, who were all students that came to the workshop, and
Sandra Dudley,
Bruce
Dudley, Joe Davidian.
As you can see, it's like a really amazing list of people who are in academia, who are professionals, who have moved through as students and become professionals, because Roger, you and Liz both are teaching at Blair, yes? Mm-hmm. So Liz, how are you bringing some of the things that you learned at the Nashville Jazz Workshop into the Blair setting at Vanderbilt?
I try to teach my students professionalism. So musicianship, obviously how the voice works and how to get their voice up and running, but also the literature, how to handle themselves in the bandstand. And so everything that they've taught me at the Jazz Workshop, how to write a chart, because I want them to come out of lessons with me with some practical experience. Your cousin calls you to sing at their wedding, you got to know what to do, how to put your chart together and all that. Or if you decide to go out and be a professional musician of any sort, not just a jazz singer, you kind of need to know what's going on. And people respect you more if you understand what's going on. And so that's what I try to give them in lessons.
Because it's pretty cool that Blair is offering this. They haven't always, but now they offer studies in jazz and also folk music, I think, as well. So that,
right.
Here in Nashville, you can get everything. You can get, and there's several other university music programs too. I want to go back to the different kinds of opportunities that you all offer, because there's a lot of different, you would think that the performance in the Jazz Cave and the classes were enough, but there's more. you all have a lot of community partners. Can you tell me maybe about some of those partnerships and why you did them, you know, and what they might be?
Over the years, we've been able to develop partnerships with other arts groups and other organizations. One of our most popular series is called Jazz on the Move. And first half of the year, about once a month, we go to the Frist Art Museum and do a live performance there that is sort of focused on a certain artist each time. And it's free and open to the public. And we have, 300, 350 people every time we do this. We bill it as a free performance, but we kind of sneak some education in there too. It's a little history.
Imagine.
A couple of years ago, we were able to put together a partnership with the Nashville Public Library. They have a world-class puppet troupe at the library here. And Laurie and her friend Elise, who's...
She's here.
She's here? You here, Elise? Yeah. Had an idea to do a jazz puppet show, so we came up with the idea of Ellingtown, sort of a puppet show about the music of Duke Ellington, and we recorded all the music, and they did all the puppetry, and it's just an amazing show. I think
It's reached over 10,000
yeah.
Metro kids, and we're just so proud of that. It's a great collaboration that we did.
Well, and it seems to be really, it's not what you would think of every day. So that's really interesting. And like Liz was talking about, the influence on younger people, there's some other, how are you working with even younger than college? How's the Jazz Workshop doing that?
We just developed a scholarship program for kids, and this is really something that's taking off. Anywhere from 13 to 18 years old, they can audition for a scholarship for financial need, and we are able to provide private lessons for them, and when they get to a certain point, then they can actually join into the classes. And also during the summer, we have 2 summer camps now. We have an instrumental camp, just for instrumentalists, and then right after that, the week after, we have a vocal camp. That started last year with just a weekend, and now it just grew and grew and grew, and so we decided to go a complete week with that one. So it's amazing what's going on, and we have so many of our local arts high schools that are helping out with that and being such a great support to us and providing us kids. And we usually sell out those summer camps, so that's exciting to see that. And plus the puppet show I was talking about, that's the real small kids. They go crazy when they see the show. They just go nuts. And it's such a neat thing to see that they're going home singing C-Jam blues. That's what I wanted.
It's like, what happened at the library over there?
I'd like to say something about the student base in general.
Yeah.
I don't think we've touched on it, but the people who come to the workshop as students, whether it's a listening class or a performance ensemble, it's a rather broad demographic. Do you like that? Grant speak. I'm getting good. Huh?
Yes, you sound very dignified,
I
Roger.
have one ensemble on Wednesday. I have a 17-year-old girl playing trumpet, and sitting next to her is a 93-year-old tenor saxophone player. And they're best buddies. They get along great. They play together well. Great music. But we have a lot of folks who are retired. We have folks who are in other professions. I've got doctors, lawyers,
Dentist.
all kinds of folks, airline pilots. But they used to play jazz in high school or college, and they kind of let it go for a minute to develop their career and have a family, and now I really miss playing my saxophone, so I want to come over there and do that. So we got a lot of people in their 60s and 70s.
And you also have sort of a mix of musicians as well, sort of like Liz and I were talking about this, about different people who play all different kinds. You don't have
Yeah.
people who are just playing jazz, yes?
Right.
What were we?
We have people who have played classical piano and read beautifully, and they've never thought about maybe improvising, so we have introductory improvisation classes where they learn chord voicings and start thinking about soloing as a jazz soloist, and opens that up for them.
And country, I mean, I know you play on country music sessions as well. So that kind of is really amazing that I don't think it exists anywhere else, does it? Do you think? Maybe New York?
We've looked into it, and there's one other school similar to it, and that's in Berkeley, California, the Jazz School. Susan Mascarella started that, and we actually sort of evolved unknowing of each other alongside until a great jazz educator friend of ours, Jamie Abersold, gave us a flyer for the Jazz School in Berkeley and said, have you seen what they're doing? And we opened it up, and it's like, that's our schedule. And we didn't know anything about each other, but we've been in contact. But that's the only two places we know of that really approach jazz education in this model.
In quite that way. Well, but you're also having a world reach. I mean, students are, Liz, you went to, is it the Montreux Festival that you took your work? Was that, I mean, were you telling everyone about the Jazz Workshop? Could they understand it, what this model was?
No, people weren't talking about that necessarily, but there's no way I could have done that. I was in a vocal competition in Switzerland in 2004, and it was because of what I had learned and all of the experience I had, and all of the girls that were there were only 8 of us from all over the world, and every one of them, had their charts together, and they knew what they were doing, and they knew their songs really well, and they were incredible jazz singers, and it was quite a privilege to be among those. But I wouldn't have learned it anywhere else. I would have gotten eaten alive in New York or LA. Here it was like people who really cared and wanted to teach us and give us experience. So, yeah.
Well, speaking of the world, we're going to sing because as you learned, Antonio Jobim is taught at the Nashville Jazz Workshop. So can we hear you all play one last tune for us? And Liz is actually going to treat us because, as she said, she is also a saxophone player. So we're going to get to hear her play a little saxophone, and we'll bring Marcus back. Marcus? Marcus? Ah, there he is. So this is the famous Jobim tune, The Girl from Ipanema. And so we're going to get to hear Liz play and sing.
she passes, each one she passes goes ah. When she walks, she's like a samba that sways so cool and swings so gently that when she passes, each one she passes goes ah. Oh, but he watches her sadly. Gladly. But he watches her sadly. How can he tell her that he loves her? Yes, he would give his heart gladly, but he stays when she walks to the sea. She looks straight ahead, not a he. Tall and tan and young and lovely, the girl from Ipanema goes walking, and when she passes he smiles, but she does not see. No, she just doesn't see. No, she just doesn't see.
As we're coming back over for just a few more minutes, I want you to look in your program because I know you want to hear Liz sing again, and your chance is coming up. The Snap-on 2 and 4 that is happening in March. You can call the Jazz Workshop and get tickets. And also this weekend, the Jazz Workshop is bringing in an amazing guitarist, Peter Bernstein, who's coming in to play. And they're amazing ways for you to connect, and we hope that you're really going to try to do that. I'm a big advocate of the Jazz Workshop and have loved all of my experiences with it. We want to end this time and let you all know about just to acknowledge someone really wonderful that we lost this week. And he is part of the Vanderbilt community as well as the Nashville Jazz community. His name is Billy Adair, and he was, I'll let you tell us just a little bit about him. Laurie Roger.
He was the senior lecturer for Vanderbilt, the jazz studies there. He had the establishment big band. He also taught the big band at Vanderbilt. Taught many classes. He was a producer, he was a arranger, he was a composer, he was a friend, he was a husband, he was a bandmate. He had a wonderful band that he played with. He called him the Old Fogies band, but it was called the Exotics, and he would go and play guitar with that on the weekends, and he would satisfy his soul there, but we lost him a couple days ago to melanoma, and so we send our regards to his wife, B.G. Adair, who's so loved by the community, and so this was for him today, I think.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I've heard over and over again, and you'll see if you read some of the articles that have come out about Billy, is one of his most beautiful aspects was pulling everybody in and making everyone feel welcome and everyone special and an important part. And I think that you will find that. I know that you will find that if you come to the Jazz Workshop. So we hope you will. Thank you all so much. Let's give another round of applause to Roger Spencer, Laurie Meacham, Liz Johnson, and Marcus Finney. Thank you all so much.